This video will guide you through the agency settings for the lease renewal module of OurProperty. Once logged into OurProperty as an Office Manager account, mouse over the house icon from the top left corner of the page and click on Leases from the drop-down menu. This will open the lease renewal module of OurProperty. To access the agency settings, click on Settings from the bottom of the left-hand menu. Click on the Agent Settings tab to see your general agency settings. Set the lead time for the recommendation action to be created for the property manager. In this example, the recommendation action will be created for the property manager 14 weeks before the lease expiry date. You will also need to set the lead time for when the recommendation is automatically sent to the landlord without action from the property manager. In this example, if the property manager has not processed the recommendation action, the system will automatically send the recommendation to the landlord 12 weeks before the lease expires. This is 2 weeks after the action was created for the property manager. Instruction deadline is the number of weeks before the lease expiry that the landlord instructions are required. In this example, the landlord instructions are needed 10 weeks before the lease expiry date. If the landlord instructions are not received by the deadline, the lease will be automatically submitted to the property manager for review. You will also need to set the number of weeks before the lease expiry for the review of the renewal instructions. In this example, the property manager has until 9 weeks before the lease expiry to renew any instructions before the lease renewal is automatically offered to the tenant. Review response deadline is the number of weeks before the lease expiry to review any landlord or tenant responses. In this example, the property manager has until 5 weeks to the expiry of the lease to review any response from the landlord or tenant. If it is a landlord response from a recommendation, OurProperty will automatically send the lease to the tenant once the deadline has been reached. You can also set the standard rent increase which applies to each lease. This amount can be changed per lease as required by the property manager when processing the recommendation or review action. And you can also set the standard lease term. This too can be changed by the property manager for each lease as required. Below, you will need to review each section of the recommendation default text and the email and letter default text to ensure the content reflects your agency ethos. Click each tab to view its content and click into each description to edit the text. For same rent is the default recommendation for no change to the rental amount. For increased rent is the default recommendation for any increase in the rental amount. For decreased rent is the default recommendation for any decrease in the rental amount. These default recommendations are selected automatically according to the recommended rent amount, and each can be edited per lease by the property manager as required. The email and letter header and footer can be edited and formatted as needed. With help regarding formatting, please contact the OurProperty support team. Click Save from the top right corner to update and save any changes. Click the Lease Details tab to edit the general lease details to be included on each lease. Click into each to edit inclusions listed, how services supplied to the property are to be paid, the location of key collection and return, the payment method for rent, the office location for rental payments, and other services provided if any. It is recommended to include Other as an addendum and have the addendum attached as a default lease condition in the Lease Condition tab. And click to edit the notice delivery method. You will also need to select your emergency tradies to be included in the lease. Simply click into each and type in the details as required. Click Save from the top right corner to update and save any changes. To create and set your general and standard lease conditions, click the Lease Conditions tab. To create a new condition, click on the Add Condition button at the bottom of the page. This will add a new line where you can create the lease condition. Create a name and select the category for the condition. If you need to create a new category, click on Add New, type the name of the category, and click Save. Click Cancel to close. When processing the recommendation and review action, the conditions are added and selected by category and then name. Click the drop-down box to enable or disable the condition. If you require the condition to be included on all leases, click the drop-down menu in the Default column and select Yes. Default conditions are added to every lease and cannot be edited or removed by the property manager. Type or paste in the description of the content in the description text box. This content can also be formatted just like the email and letter header and footer. With help formatting, please contact the OurProperty support team. Click Save to save the condition. To edit, click Edit, and to remove the line, click on the red Delete button. Click Save to the top right to update and save any changes. The Reminder Settings tab lists all reminders relating to lease processes, reminding the property managers, landlords, and tenants along the entire lease process. Please contact OurProperty support for any further assistance with this section. You should now have your agency settings set to the way your agency processes leases and know how the settings affect the way the process works. Watch the other videos in this series to learn more about OurProperty's lease module.